You sent it without thinking. 3 words, we need to talk, or maybe it was, can we talk, or are you free to talk later? Doesn't matter which variation, the damage was already done the second you hit send. You thought you were being mature, responsible, giving them a heads up that you need to have a serious conversation, but what you actually did was detonate a bomb and then walk away. You created panic, anxiety, and dread with no context, no timeline, and no way for them to prepare or respond. Now they're spiraling. Their mind is racing through every possible worst-case scenario. They're convinced you're about to break up with them. They're reviewing every interaction from the past week, trying to figure out what they did wrong. Their stomach is in knots, and you're going about your day, completely unaware that you just triggered a full-scale emotional crisis in the person you care about. You see that they read it. The 3 dots appear, then disappear, then appear again. Finally, okay, when their response is short, careful. You can feel the anxiety through the screen, but you tell yourself you're doing the right thing. You're not going to have this conversation over text. You're going to do it properly, in person. But here's what you don't realize. You already started the conversation. You already said something devastating. You just didn't finish the thought. You opened a door to panic and then left them standing in it, alone, for hours or maybe days until you can find time to talk. Meanwhile, they're unraveling. They can't focus on work. They're rereading your previous messages, looking for clues. They're wondering if you're seeing someone else, if you're unhappy, if this is the end. They're catastrophizing because that's what human brains do when faced with ambiguous threats. We imagine the worst. They text their friends. They said we need to talk. It's over, isn't it? Their friends don't know what to say because honestly, we need to talk almost never precedes good news. It's the text version of a death sentence, and everyone knows it. You didn't mean to hurt them. Maybe you genuinely need to discuss something important. Maybe it's not even that serious. Maybe you just want to talk about plans for the weekend or a problem you're rehaving at work. But you packaged it in the language of breakups and catastrophe, and now they're preparing for the worst. Hours pass. You're busy. You're in a meeting or hanging out with friends or just living your life, but they're frozen, stuck in this limbo of not knowing. They've drafted and deleted 17 texts asking you to just tell them now. They're considering calling you even though they know you said you want to talk later. They're in pain, and you put them there. When you finally do talk, they're already defensive, already hurt, already resentful. Even if what you needed to discuss was minor, it's now escalated because of how you approached it. They're angry that you made them suffer for hours. You're confused because you thought you were being considerate by wanting to talk in person. And now you're refighting about the fact that you wanted to talk instead of actually talking about the thing you needed to discuss. We need to talk is the most relationship-damaging text you can send because it violates a fundamental principle of healthy communication. It creates ambiguity in a high-stakes context, and ambiguity triggers our threat response. Human beings are wired to fear the unknown. When we receive vague but ominous information, our brains immediately jump to worst-case scenarios. This is called catastrophic thinking, and it's a survival mechanism. Our ancestors survived because they assumed the rustling in the bushes was a predator, not the wind. Better to be overly cautious than dead. When you text "we need to talk" without context, you're activating that same threat response in your partner. Their nervous system interprets it as danger. Their cortisol spikes. Their mind races. They go into fight or flight mode, and they stay there until they get resolution. This is what psychologists call anticipatory anxiety. It's the dread of a future negative event. And research shows that anticipatory anxiety is often worse than the actual event itself. The waiting, the not knowing, the imagining that's more painful than most actual conversations would be. You think you're being respectful by not having important conversations over text. And you're right that some conversations deserve in-person communication. But there's a massive difference between "we need to talk" and "hey, I'd love to catch up about some stuff when you're free." Nothing bad, just want to connect about a few things. When works for you. The first one signals crisis. The second one signals normal relationship communication. Same desire to talk in person. Completely different emotional impact. The problem with "we need to talk" is that it's a cliffhanger. You've introduced a problem without giving any information about the scope, severity, or nature of it. You've hit the panic button and then refused to explain why. That's not communication. That's emotional torture. What's actually happening is you're offloading your anxiety onto your partner. You're feeling nervous or uncertain about having a conversation, so you send the text to relieve your own discomfort. You've acknowledged to yourself that something needs to be addressed, and sending that text makes you feel like you've taken action. But all you've done is transfer your anxiety to them and multiply it. There's also a power dynamic at play. When you send, "We need to talk," and then control when and where that conversation happens, you're putting yourself in the position of power. You have all the information. You know what this is about. They know nothing. They're at your mercy. And that imbalance creates resentment. Even if you don't intend it, you're creating a parent-child dynamic. You're summoning them to a serious conversation like a principal calling a student to the office. That's not how equal partners communicate. Healthy communication requires two things: clarity and timeliness. Clarity means being specific about what you need to discuss. Timeliness means not creating unnecessary delays between raising an issue and addressing it. "We need to talk" fails on both counts. It's vague, and it creates a gap, sometimes hours or days, between the alert and the actual conversation. During that gap, damage is being done. Trust is eroding. Anxiety is building. Resentment is forming, all because you thought you were being mature by waiting to talk in person. The irony is that the conversation you eventually have will be harder, not easier, because of how you initiated it. Your partner is now in a defensive, anxious state. They're not approaching the conversation with openness and curiosity. They're approaching it with fear and self-protection. You've poisoned the well before you even sat down to drink from it. If you need to have a serious conversation with your partner, there's a better way. A way that respects their emotional state and sets you both up for productive dialogue instead of defensive panic. First, be specific. Don't say "we need to talk." Say what you actually need to talk about. "I'd like to talk about our schedules and how we can spend more quality time together. I want to check in about our finances and make sure we're on the same page. I've been feeling disconnected lately and I'd like to talk about how we can reconnect." See the difference? You've identified the topic without being vague. They know what's coming. They can prepare their thoughts. There's no ambiguity to spiral about. Second, if it's not urgent, provide reassurance. "Nothing's wrong. I just want to discuss something when we both have time. Not a crisis. Just want to have a real conversation about something on my mind." That one sentence can prevent hours of unnecessary anxiety. Third, offer immediacy when possible. If you're going to bring something up, be ready to discuss it. Don't drop the bomb and then disappear for 8 hours. If you can't talk right now, don't bring it up right now. Wait until you're actually available to have the conversation. Fourth, match the medium to the message. If it is truly a difficult conversation, something that might really hurt them or change the relationship, you owe them the respect of doing it in person from the start. Show up, don't text a warning. Just initiate the conversation when you're face to face. And if you've already sent "we need to talk" and you're reading this now, fix it immediately. Send another text. "Sorry, that sounded scarier than I meant it to. I just want to talk about specific thing. Nothing catastrophic, just want to connect." You can undo some of the damage with clarity. The goal of communication isn't to control information or maintain power. It's to create connection and understanding, and you can't do that when you're creating fear. Words matter, especially the ones you send when someone can't see your face or hear your tone. "We need to talk" sounds like an ending, even when it's not. And you can't build a relationship on a foundation of unnecessary fear. Talk to your partner like they're your equal, not like they're waiting for a verdict. Give them context. Give them clarity. Give them respect. If this changed how you'll communicate going forward, we do this every week. Real relationship advice that actually helps. Subscribe. Stop creating problems while trying to solve them. Your partner deserves better. So do you.